I'm Pete Hippensteel, Vice President of Technical Affairs for the Steuben County Lakes Council, and I have a study that we've done on the economic importance of our lakes. Approximately 2 years ago, there became several questions related to things that had to do with the economic importance, and mainly the diversion of the LAIR funds, or the Lake and River Enhancement Funds, by the governor to the general fund. And a lot of the people around the lakes were very upset that these funds were no longer available for us to help protect our lakes, particularly the water quality of our lakes. And so we wanted to have additional arguments on our behalf to substantiate our position. And this economic study then grew out of those concerns. And as we look at the values of our lakes, there are several studies that have been done in other states that sort of gave us an idea of where to go. And the in Maine, the reduction of water quality of just a half a meter would cause a loss of $1.5 million of economic benefits. And in Iowa, they found in a study that the water quality was the most important factor in choosing where they went for lake recreation. And in Minnesota, the water quality was shown to have a very positive relationship with the property values. So in our situation, we decided that these following three factors would be looked at as how they impact our lake shoreline values. Water clarity, which is measured by the Sankey disk depth, which is simply a small disk that you lower down in the water, and the deeper it goes, the more transparent the water is, and therefore it's an indication of good water quality. Also, the Indiana Trophic State Index is ISTSI, which will be on several of the slides, is a composite of several water quality values. Nutrients, dissolved oxygen, amount of algae, and so forth go together to make this index. And then in the study, we found that the size of the lakes turned out to be a factor that we didn't quite anticipate as we started this study. And then the impact of the shoreline property values on each county's tax base became a significant outcome too as the study progressed. The information was obtained from two different sources. The first was from the GIS coordinators in each of these counties, and I want to thank each of them, Stephen Hook, Rita Liner, and Chad Hoover, and Bill Holder, for helping me acquire this data from each of the counties. Also, many people around the lakes are familiar with the Indiana Clean Lakes program, and they have a website listed here on this slide that allows you to look at all the data that's been collected over the last 20 years related to water quality. And Bill Jones from the SPIA program at IU, IDEM, and of course our lake monitors have all contributed to generating this public information. The total number of parcels and their average assessed values are determined from each county, and it gives you sort of perspective, the size of the county as well as their average parcels. This is for every parcel in the county, not just the lake parcels on this slide. And you can see that Noble County has a few more parcels than LaGrange County, but the average value is very similar. Steuben County has significantly larger number of parcels, and their value is somewhat increased as well. And Kosciuszko, being a larger county yet, has more parcels, and their property values in that county are slightly higher than that in Steuben County. The number of lakes surveyed was determined by the GIS coordinator in each county, and this varies depending upon their individual capabilities. Not all counties have exactly the same GIS system, and in Noble County we analyzed 5 ski lakes. Now, these lakes are the ones that are large enough to permit, by Indiana law, high-speed boating. And then the non-ski lakes are those that have just small motorboats or even electric motors in some cases. LaGrange County, we studied 5 ski lakes and 5 non-ski lakes. I'm sorry, 6 non-ski lakes. And then in Steuben County, 11 ski lakes and 12 non-ski lakes. And finally in Kosciuszko County, 10 ski lakes and 8 non-ski lakes. This gives you a general idea of the distribution of both the area as well as the number of lakes in each of these counties. Notice that both Noble and LaGrange County have right around 4,000 acres of lake water in their counties, and the distribution of the number of lakes in each category. Now, these are considered to be the public freshwater lakes that have been sampled by the Clean Lakes program. There are additional lakes. Most of those are very small, and some of them are not public, as we will come back to later. The number of lake-assessed parcels, and this slide gets a little more complex, but we'll go through it very quickly. Notice that there were around close to 30,000 parcels in the county, and here we have 1,700 that are ski lake and 3,400 that are on non-ski lakes in Noble County. And just in comparison, you will see here that in LaGrange County, there's fairly similar numbers. The number of parcels in ski lakes versus that in non-ski lakes are fairly similar, and also the assessed value of those parcels fall within the ballpark figures of each other. Now, notice in Steuben County, we jump up in the number of parcels around the ski lakes significantly over the previous 2 counties, and you can see the values of those parcels have increased significantly. And the non-ski lakes, you go back, notice they are compared favorably, maybe not in number, but at least in value with the parcels from the other counties. And then in Kosciuszko County, you can see that they're very similar to Steuben County. And again, if you remember the previous slide, you could see that the number of acreage of ski lakes versus that of non-ski lakes were similar in each of these counties. Now, this gives you a comparison of the average value of the parcels versus the average assessed evaluation of the parcel that is around the lake, or a shoreline parcel. And notice the difference between the value in Noble County, LaGrange, Steuben, and that you can see the magnitude of that difference. Keep that in mind as we then move on to the next slide, which shows this is the total assessed evaluation, whereas the previous slide was just the land assessed value. Notice that all the numbers increase, but the difference stays about the same. So that we can conclude from these 2 slides that most of the difference in the assessed evaluation of our general land parcels in the county is due to the difference in land assessed value of the shoreline parcel. Now, this gives you a little bit of a trend. These are all the lakes that we sampled within the 4 county regions of northeastern Indiana. And you can see, as some people say, it's sort of a shotgun pellet graph just all over the place. But again, you can see there is sort of a general trend that as the Indiana Trophic State Index declines, which means the water quality gets better, the value of the parcels increase significantly. And then we look at this from a different perspective. It's the same graph as we had before. Let's just go back just real quick, see that graph. But this time, what I did, I put a pink dot over all of those lakes that are high-speed boating lakes. And notice that almost all of those are to the right of the graph, or the higher values, whereas the non-ski lakes dominate the left-hand side of the graph. And this was not an intended part of the study, but just became very obvious as we moved through the analysis. Also, taking these ski lakes, we wanted to find out was there any difference in those. And we have here a graph that sort of compares the water quality. The hyper means hyper-eutrophic, which means these are very nutrient-rich lakes, have lots of algae, maybe lots of weed growth. And notice that there's only one of the ski lakes that fall into that nutrient or classification. The eutrophic state is sort of an intermediate state, and we have several in northeastern Indiana that fall within that category. Then the mesoeutrophic is even a better category, means less nutrients, less algae, less weeds, and water clarity would be increased, and we have a good number on that. And then we have a few that fall into the very good category, or the oligotrophic lakes that you can see in the bottom of that graph. Now, just again showing the general trend of this trophic state index, you can see that there is a trend that as the trophic state index is lower or more oligotrophic, this increase in value is significant. Just looking at it from a standpoint that the general public probably visualizes better is the water clarity. And this would be just how transparent the water is, and that's sort of a thing that we gauge is before we jump into the water to go swimming and so forth, how nice the water looks. And you can see that as the water clarity increases, the value of our assessed parcels increases as well. This is a slide that we just decided to put in there just for your perspective on how lake size affects assessed value. In other words, assessed value basically is a market-based value that is, if there's more demand for a particular lake parcel, that price will go up. And you can see I put a white line there towards the bottom, and that's indicate 300 acres. In Indiana, a lake can be a high-speed boating lake if it's 300 acres or more. And you can see that most all the values that are above 300 are to the right of the graph, or the higher ones, although we have some high-speed boating lakes that have smaller sizes and lower values. So size has a perspective as far as the lake homeowner is concerned, as far as the amount of money they're willing to invest into those properties. Here are a comparison of the 4 counties, just to give you some names of lakes that go with those dots that you've been looking at. That the ski lakes, again, tend to be to the right. In this county, there is only one lake that is over 300 acres that is a ski lake. These other 4 lakes, Big, Waldron, Jones, and Skinner Lake, have limited skiing and have petitioned the state to allow skiing in those lakes. But you can see that their values are significantly less than the larger ski lake. And this is the county that has the most of these intermediate sized ski lakes. In LaGrange County, we have the ski lakes, but again, notice as the clarity increases, there's a trend that the value increases as well. Here in Steuben County, these are the lakes that we sampled in our survey, and you can see that these lakes, we have more ski lakes than the other 2 counties, but there's quite a variation in the value of the property along their shorelines. Then finally in Kosciuszko County, you can see we didn't sample quite as many lakes, but you can see the significant impact of the large ski lakes on the property values as well. Syracuse is the lake of all the lakes we surveyed in this study, has the highest values, almost $500,000 per lake property of assessed evaluation. This, I think, gives you a very excellent survey of an overview of what we've been talking about, notice that the purple graph line is an indication of the percentage of those parcels that make up the county. In other words, in Noble County, 17% of the parcels are shoreline parcels, 18 in LaGrange, 22 in Steuben, and 18 again. And so there's a very similar amount of number of lake parcels in each of these 4 counties. But notice that the percentage of assessed land value, that in Noble County it's 29%. Remember, most of these are smaller lakes, very few ski lakes. LaGrange County, a few more ski lakes, 39%. But here in Steuben County, it's sort of hard to believe that we have just 22% of our land parcels adjacent to the lake, but makes up 66% or 2/3 of the tax base for Steuben County. And in Kosciuszko County, a similar increase, not quite as dramatic as in Steuben County, but with 58% of their assessed evaluation around the shoreline of the lake. And this is just including just those parcels that touch the lake shore. These do not include second or third tier lakes. Now, here's just another way of summarizing this, that obviously from the graphs that you've looked at, the high-speed boating lakes have a premium on their shoreline values. And these numbers here are the indication that just we looked at in the graph just a moment ago. And then finally, water quality indicators have a secondary role in determining the value of our shoreline property, but not as dramatic as what lake size does. Now, as we all know in Steuben County, that our tourist information, we emphasize the fact that we're the land of 101 lakes, but of those 101 lakes, there are only 77 that are on the state's public freshwater list. And this means that the public has access to those lakes readily. The other lakes are small, maybe in many cases private lakes as well. Of those 77 lakes, 62 lakes have been sampled regularly by the Clean Lakes program, and those are the ones that have been included in all the previous discussion I've had about the data. As you can see, the acreage varies significantly. In the ski lakes, we have almost 6,000 acres of ski lake water or high-speed boating water, and 1,200 acres of that was part of the study. But then if we extrapolate that out to the other 39 lakes that were in of the 62, we have another 1,200 acres or so, and we end up with a total of 62 lakes that were studied in this county, making up a little over 8,000 acres of recreational water. And notice the value of that is over $1.2 billion worth of assessed evaluation around those lakes, 62 lakes. Now, if we take that then and compare it to the whole county, back to one of the earlier slides we looked at, it said that all the county has 40,000 parcels, and our total land assessed value is $1.9 billion, or 100% of the total. Then we take our ski lakes, a little over 6,000 parcels in ski lakes, making out $1.1 billion worth of assessed evaluation. Our non-ski lakes, 51, making up $145 million of assessed evaluation, or our total impact shows that our lakes are contributing a significant portion of the tax base in Steuben County. But most of it, as you can see in looking at the numbers, that 58% of that comes from the ski lakes, 8% comes from the non-ski lakes, making up a total of 2/3 of our assessed evaluation. I think you can see then from this overview and comparison of both water quality data and tax base assessed evaluation, both land assessed value as well as total assessed evaluation, that the lakes of northeastern Indiana have a significant contribution not only to our recreational activities, but also to an economic base for the welfare of many citizens of northeastern Indiana. In Steuben County, we've made a significant effort, as they have in the other counties as well, but these are specifically related to Steuben County's contribution to investments that we've made to protect the water quality of our lakes. Over the years, the waste districts, the Steuben County Lakes Regional Waste District, Lake George, Clear Lake, and Hamilton Conservancies all have invested significant amount of money into central sewage treatment for the perimeter of these lakes, as well as some small residential areas within their area. And these have then diverted many nutrients from ever entering our lakes, therefore helping protect the water quality. The county health department has their septic tank programs and other things that they have significantly monitored the installation and improvement of septic systems around the county. And still, many of our lakes the residential area uses septic tanks to treat their waste rather than a central system. The city of Angola has made a significant effort to separate stormwater from their sanitary sewers, and these investments are really paying off. And this is part of what they call the MS4 program that is in conjunction with Trine University, and these efforts are continuing to this day. We have erosion control on industrial and residential development, as well as separation of the storm sewers that have benefited. As I mentioned at the start of our presentation, that we were trying to get LAIR projects refunded because we feel they're very important in helping protect the water quality of our lakes. And this July, the governor released the LAIR funds for their intended use. These LAIR funds are part of our boat tax that we pay each spring, and many of the lake users felt it was very appropriate that these be used for their dedicated intention. And we have better than $300,000 of LAIR grants that are currently being implemented in the county this year. The Steuben Soil and Water Conservation District has had a significant effort in obtaining 319 grants and other grants, part of those being LAIR funds that they have used in watershed land treatments, what they call best management practices, that have reduced the impact of farming and other activities on the water quality of our lakes. The Lakes Council ourselves have spent a great deal of effort, both financially as well as time, in doing additional water monitoring, trying to pinpoint where the problems are and helping us resolve the issues that need to be addressed. Lake associations many times contribute cost share in conjunction with the LAIR funds, and therefore also have their individual activities that they, such as weed control activities and others that benefit the water quality of their lakes. The Steuben County Drainage Board and Surveyor are also active in monitoring and helping the drainage issues that benefit the lakes rather than cause additional problems for our lakes. There are other groups such as the Nature Conservancy and others that also make contributions, but there's really too many to list individually here. We have also looked at these data as it relates to individual lakes. Here is an example of Clear Lake, just to give you the magnitude of the impact on one individual lake. Notice that Clear Lake has 767 shoreline parcels, and the average land assessed value for those parcels is $256 million of total assessed evaluation, averaging $335,000 per parcel. And this means that Clear Lake is contributing better than $300 million worth of assessed evaluation to our tax base. And I've compared this to the rest of the county. This makes up about 8% of the total tax base for Steuben County. Now, I have also down here at the bottom left-hand corner showing you the additional revenue or additional assessed evaluation of the property within the boundaries of Clear Lake. And the boundaries of Clear Lake, or I should say the town of Clear Lake, are within the blue lines. This would not only include shoreline properties, but it include second-tier properties, maybe off-site garages, other activities that really are many times very directly related to lake activities. And you can see that this increases the value some. You say, well, $6 million is a significant amount, but compared to the other total, it is a small part compared to the shoreline properties. Also, we look at Hamilton Lake, very similar in size, almost same number of parcels, but in this case, the land assessed evaluation is $109 million a total, but they have a good portion of the lake is not completely developed at this time, and therefore those parcels do not contribute a significant amount to the land base. But again, Hamilton contributing $153 million worth of assessed evaluation to the county's tax base. Ball Lake, a non-ski lake, in comparison, you can see much smaller number of parcels, but also the land assessed evaluation is significantly less than we find on our ski lakes. But still, they contribute better than almost $18 million of total assessed evaluation to our tax base. Crooked Lake, again, similar in size to Clear Lake and Hamilton Lake, but a few more parcels, but their total assessed evaluation, as you can see, is $195 million worth of assessed evaluation. Lake James, the largest lake in the county, has over 1,000 parcels and contributes $333 million worth of assessed valuation to this county. And just another note that Pokagon State Park is not assessed, so that would be a significant contribution to our tourist industry, but is not contributing to our tax base. And Lake James contributes about 8.9% of the total tax base for Steuben County. Lime Lake is a small lake connected to Lake Gage. You can see that even a lake of this size contributes better than $10 million worth of assessed evaluation. Lake Gage also, right there to give you the numbers, a significant larger lake, and because of the ski lake capabilities, we have a total assessed evaluation of a little over $92 million for this lake.
Through the Years Antiques is open 7 days a week, 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday, and on Sundays 12 to 5. They now serve you in 2 locations, at their original store located 1 mile west of the outlet malls on 120, and now in Angola next to the courthouse at 25 South Public Square. Through the Years Antiques open 7 days a week, 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday, and Sunday 12 to 5.
To me, dentistry has always been about the patient. It's really not about the business. If you treat the patients right and you do things right, then the other things will naturally grow with it.
Receive a complete oral evaluation and treatment options